Last time out, it was Tiago Canola and David Yunt splitting the two races at Mallory Park. Tonight, it's another HSO doubleheader, but at two different tracks, Zandvoort and the Alton Park Short Circuit, the Island Circuit. Good evening, I'm Jason White. Welcome to the HSO 1973 Formula 3 Series. Very glad you can join us. Cars are completing their qualifying session. I believe the time has just run out. It has. And I'm joined in the booth by Jonatan Acerclinth. Jonatan, how are you?
I'm doing pretty well. You refereed my first floorball game today, so feeling on the up and up. And good evening, everyone.
Hopefully those kids didn't give you too much trouble.
Yeah, well, you always get a little bit of bashing back and forth, so it's part of the game, pretty much.
True. So I was telling our viewers tonight we have two races at two different circuits. First we have Zandvoort tonight, and then after our break we'll have Alton Park Island circuit. And last time out the races were split between David Yunt and Tiago Canola, but the key factor there, Jonathan, is that David Yunt continued to score points even when he wasn't winning.
Very much so, and it's definitely one of the most important things if you actually want to go for a championship. In this qualifying session, looks like Tiago Canola has taken pole position by 1.5 tenths, and then there's another set down to third, so looks like David Yunt and Tiago Canola is a bit in their own league on this particular location.
Well, looking at the point standings, David Yunt is in the lead with a whopping 115 points. Grant Riddall is in second with 61. Tiago is in third at this point with 50. Austin Johnson is 48, and Ray Riddall is only 2 points back, rounding out the top five with 46 points. The track itself, Zandvoort, this is the 2.6-mile layout, will be going for 24 laps, or just a little over 62.5 miles. It's kind of a gray, overcast day on the server, but as far as this track is concerned, Jonathan's very quick. And there's probably only one line, really, that's a fast line around this circuit. So it's going to be a challenge for everybody to be consistent for 24 laps, I would think.
Yeah, it'll certainly be very tricky to pass. I think unless you get a run out of the last corner into the Tarzan Hairpin in the first turn, or if you're really brave, you may be able to make a move before the back of the track in the long right hand there. I think it is very likely to be a follow John, or however Simon says, sort of situation here.
Or you'll be taking care of, or you'll be getting ahead via OPP, other people's problems.
Very much so.
Okay, well let's take a look at things that are coming up at HSO while we have a moment. Next Sunday, we return IndyCar racing at Mid-Ohio Sports Car Course. It is the Escort Radar Warning 200, which is round 10 of 15 of the kart series. Looking forward to that one because everyone loves Mid-Ohio. It's a lot of fun, very challenging. And then we also have, coming up on Wednesday, September 25th, the next of the, I guess this would be called, it's STW, but this is basically the German equivalent of BTCC, correct?
It is indeed. It's taking place in Belgium, Germany, and Austria. So, generally speaking, it's the German touring car championship.
Yeah. We had our first races last Wednesday at Zolder, and our very own Jonatan Acerclinth was victorious in both races. Congratulations, sir. And,
thank you very much.
Which obviously gives him the points lead. So our next round is going to be at Spa, Francorchamps, which should be a fabulous circuit in these cars. And that's
For sure.
That's round 2 of 8, 2 heats for each round. Wednesday, September 25th. I believe we still have cars available in that series.
Yes, I think there are 3 or 4 full-time rides still up for grab for anyone who wants them. And there are likely to be at least 2 or 3 coming free for the events themselves for people not being able to show up. So if you're interested, there's definitely an opening for you, and it's more or less plug and play, and all of us are happy to oblige with setups if.
Yeah, I drove in those 2 races on Wednesday, and I have to say it was a lot of fun. The cars handle beautifully, and the competition is very tight. So I would encourage people to take part. Wednesday night's a great way to get involved with sim racing if you haven't done it before, at least not on an online level. And then after, this is looking a little further down the way, but on October 13th, Sunday, the third jewel in the Triple Crown of 500-mile races, it's the Quaker State 500 from Pocono International Raceway, the Tricky Triangle. One of my favorite races. We'll see how people can handle the bumpity bumps. And that comes on Sunday, October 13th. My guess is Jonatan will be broadcasting that one.
At least that's the plan for now.
Yeah.
And I am too looking forward to it. It usually throws up some great racing, and because of the tricky nature of the track, we are very likely to see some very hefty action.
All right, so we're getting close to the start of this round, and you said that Tiago is on the pole, correct?
Yep.
All right, we got
Tiago
about
in his. Sorry, go ahead.
No, that's all right. We got about 6 minutes actually to go here.
Yep.
See, is anybody? Oh, we have one car here running around this circuit. It's interesting. I don't have any sound from the. Have a look at this. All right, there. I don't know why it suddenly decided to cut out, but let's. Jason Whitehead is about to complete a lap here, so we'll take a look at a lap going around here with Jason Whitehead in a second here. He's driving, I believe, a Martini. Here he is now coming into the last corner of Zandvoort. Gets a little bit loose there. It's funny. We have people around the track with flashbulb cameras. There's one guy right there that just really, he should not be where he's at if it were real life. Okay, actually, Jason is going into the pits here, so let's find somebody else. Okay, here we go. Here's Gerard Rion starting the lap. So this is the fastest part of the course, heading down into what is called the Tarzan Hairpin. It's called the Tarzan Hairpin because it's like you grabbed a rope and you're swinging around like Tarzan. Now you head behind the pit section, little left-right combination here, slightly hilly, and then into another hairpin that takes you onto the back portion of the circuit proper.
And now the roller coaster starts.
Yeah,
as
now
we go over one crest.
That's right. The roller coaster starts now as Gerard now sweeps to the left, sweeps back to the right. This is a very quick section, but if you get the entry wrong, you could go off for a dune ride. Now downshifting into this turn where the Caltech sign is there. Very fast right-hander. Now a very fast left-right combination. Whipping back and forth. And you can see that the curbs are not particularly friendly here either. So, and now this is one that's very challenging with this bridge here. Flying through here, I'm guessing you could take that flat if you do it right. Then downshifting. Well, actually not.
No, it's actually flat all the way into the last corner here.
Wow. Well, in these cars, that makes sense, I suppose. Okay, then he downshifts for the final corner here, a sweeper, and it's easy. It's easier than you might think to get offline there as we get a good look at the Goodyear blimp above. And that is one lap of Zandvoort.
Speed, and in terms of top-end speed for these cars, you can expect. I know cars have hit about 134, I think, or 136 there about mph, which is about 222 kilometers an hour.
Angel May is asking me if bumpity bumps are a technical term, and the answer is yes.
It definitely is. Luckily, these cars are fairly soft, and since they don't go incredibly quick, at least not my poor Darstel. It's not that bad over the bumps. The worst parts are into the right hand that Rio just went through, and into the last corner where the car really gets unsettled over the bumps and crests.
Yeah, there are quite a number of bumps around here that can unsettle the car. So, all right. So predictions for this race. Tiago being on the pole definitely gives him an opportunity to try to have an excellent race, but I would imagine that David Yunt is not too far behind him on the grid. So unless David has a calamitous race, with the huge lead he has in the points, really what he has to do is just keep going and scoring points, and you should be in excellent shape.
Definitely, and another prediction is that we have a dark horse in the form of Anders Nilsson driving the Gekos racing team. That is the car that Cesariusz Szlapinski brought to some early success at Mallory Park, and
he's out
he
on
lines
the track
up
right
third
now
for this race.
Oh, that's excellent. Yeah, he's on the track right now. Yeah, Cesarius has scored several pole positions in this car, number 20. And I guess he couldn't make it today, so Anders is driving in his place. I'm sure he's quite happy.
I can also tell you that Anders loves this track, so I expect him to, if not have a good race, at least finish in the top 10.
And I'm sure he's pretty happy with the paint scheme on this car. Just guessing.
Yeah, I think so. It's very reminiscent of. He drove in another championship, the TWR Commodore that
that's right. I'd forgotten about that. Yeah, you're right.
So yeah, I think he's very happy with the way that car is gleaming in the sunlight. All
right, so 30 seconds to go, and we'll be going for 24 laps around Zandvoort. Again, that incredible start to the season, or this series that David Yunt had, winning 4 races in a row, put him in an incredible points lead. So it would have to be something really calamitous that would cause him to fall out of said lead. But still, there are races to be run, and it's a very tight field anyway, so we should expect some excellent action today. And good luck to you also in the race, Jonathan.
Thank you very much. I will just try to hang on to the back end of the field and, as you said, make use of others' misfortune.
Yep.
That's the only tactic, really, I can have around here to have the least powerful engine, so I don't think I'll be blasting past anyone, so to speak.
At least you've got that cute teddy bear mascot.
Very much so. And the bear and the women, which is always a nice thing, I suppose.
Important. Okay, so we are going to the race. Oh, goodness! Interesting development. Jason Whitehead has been disqualified. What happened there?
Okay, let's see.
Now, I would think that the organizers would like to restart the warm-up and try to get him back in. But then the question becomes, can you clear a DQ within a weekend that has been set up? Or do you have to restart everything to make it work? Well, the cars are on the grid at this. Well, wait. Okay, are we going back? Yes, we're going back to the warm-up session now. So there's going to be a slight delay in the start here. We apologize, but an unexpected Dairy Queen for Jason Whitehead. So we're gonna see what we can do about that.
We'll be trying one more time. If there's still a DQ, we'll try to solve it then.
All right. So everyone stand by. Oh, goodness. Happened again. All right. So question is, what do we do? Who's the administrator of this race?
That would be me, unfortunately.
Okay, well,
So I'm double duting here, so
was Jason Whitehead's car causing any issues prior?
no, not that I know of. Question is if it's a similar issue that we've had before, but he'll try to leave and come back. If that doesn't work, let's. I can get the entry list up and see if there's another. If it's just the car itself that's causing the issue.
There were updates to the mod, correct?
Yes, after the summer break.
Hmm. But he did
But
race. But he did race in the previous races at Mallory without incident, right?
indeed,
Okay, so it can't be
so
that.
there's one other car for sure that is like his. Okay.
Is it possible that flag rules could be causing an issue?
Possibly. Worst case scenario, we will turn the flags off, I think, but we'll let him try leaving and rejoining. If that fails, we'll have a quick restart of the server and turn the flags off, I think.
The only downside then is that you'll have to input the qualifying manually.
Yep. So let's actually quickly else. So I can actually input the grid. R23 indeed.
Or if you're the admin, you can clear a DQ, I believe.
Nope. Possible to clear the DQ in the race session, unfortunately.
Oh, jeez. Oh, this reminds me, I can play my technical difficulties audio.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are experiencing technical difficulties. Please stand by.
Probably a good idea.
Yep.
Hey, Tiago. Okay.
Oh, goodness.
We will restart.
All right. So obviously, we're having technical issues. We will be right back after we solve said issues. Okay, so we've relaunched the server now. Turned flag rules off, so that should there's 21 drivers now. We're waiting for 23 to
So
come
we're
in.
we're waiting for Joe and Michael Griffiths.
There's
Sorry, Joe
22,
Miller.
so we got one more to go. So this should clear the situation, and Jonatan is going to input the qualifying order manually, which is something you could do as an administrator, and then we should be good to go.
Very much hopefully so.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are experiencing technical difficulties. Please stand by.
Okay, there he is. Good.
Still only 22.
Yep, because Victor Magnano, Gerardo Magnano, fortunately dropped, but I'll sort of feel the grid in the meantime, and I'll input him when he jumps in back in. Okay. Oh. She's
All right, so at long last we have the grid implemented, and we're about ready to go.
Just giving everyone a few seconds to get the settings and everything set up and correct.
Yeah, because once the server restarts, you end up with the default set, and that's an easy mistake to make. Thanks to everybody on YouTube for your patience. We are now moving to the race session.
We'll give Dana a quick chance to get back in.
Oh, Dana left again?
Yeah, unfortunately. Last. This will be the last restart. If anyone drops from this one, we will keep going. Won't have a chance at staying somewhat on schedule. Interesting that it's usually when I'm the head admin that this kind of stuff happens. strangely enough.
All right, so finally, on our way to the...
we have everyone in.
All right. It's like staging horses for a race, only it takes much longer.
Indeed.
All right, now why is Jan Kowalski on the pole?
Come on, don't tell me the grid is messed up.
It appears that it is, yeah, it's nowhere near like what it's supposed to be. Yeah, Jan Kowalski is on the pole, which is entirely incorrect.
F me.
All right, obviously, this is going to take a minute. We'll be back. Sorry, everyone.
God.
All right, okay.
Now I've got it out of my system.
All right. All right, so here we go.
Okay, so Dana was having issues.
Well, first time back, so I suppose that's to be expected. Hardware hasn't been used for a while, and maybe there's something getting in the way. Who knows?
Possibly. Well, anyway, sorry everyone for the delay, but we are now on our formation lap.
All right, so on the
Happily
pole.
enough.
Thank goodness. On the pole, Thiago Canola, Peter Bloor Racing March. Second is David Yunt in the first of the Alpines. Third, Anders Nilsson driving in place of Cesare Slapinski. Fourth is Peter Blom Dart Racing. Fifth, Alberto Aguino in the Scuderia Italia car. Sixth is Gerard Rion. Seventh, Joe Miller in the other Alpine. Eighth, Michael Griffiths, Team Kent Messenger March. Ninth, Jason Whited, Motul Defense Mondial Martini. 10th, David Saber in the Chris Andrews Batty, or Beatty, however you want to pronounce it, March. 11th, Matias Estrella. 12th, Dave Miller in the AB3 Racing Developments car. 13th, Adam Hackman, John Sheldon Racing. 14th, Mato Small, Racestand Racing. 15th, Bruno Chacon. 16th, Jan Kowalski, Team Modus Racing March. 17th, Jonatan Acerclinth, driving for the Teddy Bear team, Hesketh Racing. 18th, Victor Alsacar, BP France. 19th, McChapman, Dart Racing. 20th, Gerardo Magnano, AW Brown Racing. 21st, Luis Almeida, BP France, another one of those entries. 22nd is Greg Della Cella, Peter Bloor Racing number 3. And that is the grid, 22 cars.
We are coming around the last corner for the leaders, so give it another 20 seconds, I suppose, and we'll more or less be on the green flag racing.
So if you're Thiago Canola, obviously it is very important to get away from the grid cleanly, because he's got David Yunt right over his left shoulder. And it's a 3-2-3 combination. Actually, yeah, they're starting 3 in the front row, I believe. Yes. And you see there Anders Nilsson on the outside. So, everybody stand by. As soon as you see the lap counter flicker in the top left, will be under starters' orders. And then the race will be given the green flag, or actually green lights in front of us rather quickly. Cars filing in at the back. There we go. Starters' orders have been given. Stand by. Lights going up, waiting for the green. The race is underway. Great getaway by Thiago, but you can see, look at that, there's Anders Nilsson coming up on the outside. Anders Nilsson trying to swing around the outside, but no. Oh, he may actually pull it off because he's got the inside line for the next turn. He does. Anders Nilsson goes into the lead. Thiago's second. David Yunt is in third. Fantastic start from the Swede as they head now into the second hairpin. My goodness, what a fantastic start. Now David Yunt is tucked up behind Thiago Canola as they head into the backside of the course. Riding on board now Thiago as he pursues Anders Nilsson. There he is. Into the fast sweeping section here. Here come the cars through. It looks like everybody's doing okay. I don't see any funny business so far. Mick Chapman looking on the inside of you there, Jonatan. Look out.
He actually dropped back behind me, coming up over the crest here, so I think
and
he
Thiago's taking the
in.
lead, actually. Let's run a replay of this. Thiago There's a replay of Tiago taking the lead. I'm going to accelerate a bit here. There's the next corner. Exiting this corner. Going on the outside, actually. Anders tucks up behind him, so that was rather easy. So Tiago reassumes the lead. And he's pulling out a bit of a gap. Now it looks like, oh my goodness, Anders is dropping by. Oh, he's had contact with Peter Blum. No. Oh my goodness, what did it say? Oh no! There's tons of, oh my goodness. Oh no. That's 2 cars out of the race. Anders Nilsson most definitely because his, oh, and there's another crash. Oh no! We had another, oh my goodness. There's like 3 accidents on the front straight. Replay in order. Looking from the inside of, I don't know what's going on with Anders, but he pins another car against the wall, spins out. Car's out of control, gets nailed broadside by another car. There goes one of his wheels. So Anders is obviously out of the race. What a disaster. He starts the race, gets into the lead, and then here he gets hit by another car. So that's a bunch of retirements. Unbelievable.
I suppose everyone had a bit too much upped or however you want to put it, energy from
Pent up
having
jitters.
Yeah.
Anders out of the race. Al Aquino is out of the race, and we have other cars. Gerardo Magnano is in the pits trying to get fixed. So if he can't get, that's 2 retirements now, and Gerardo, if he can't get the car fixed, that's 3 retirements. Well, he's missing a wheel, so I think we can pretty much conclude that he's out of the race. That's terrible luck. Meanwhile, Tiago has pulled out a bit of a gap. Here he is coming through the, and there's pieces on the circuit. That's why there's a yellow flag out. I can't understand for the life of me what was going wrong with Anders' car, because he first seemed to just give up the lead to Tiago relatively easily without much of a fight. And then he started to slow coming out of the final turn and got pinned against the wall with another blue car. I couldn't quite tell who that was, but the end result was that he's out of the race. Really unfortunate. But Tiago streaking away now. Junt is in 2nd place. Peter Blum is in 3rd. It was Peter Blum, I believe, that got pinned against the fence by Anders. But luckily for him, it didn't cause any issues. He's being pursued by Gerard Rion, who is 4th. And 5th is Joe Miller. Rare to see Joe in the top 5, so very good for him. 6th is Dave Miller, no relationship there. 7th, David Saber. 8th is Jason Whited. 9th is Michael Griffithson. He's closely being followed by Jan Kowalski. This is probably the best battle in the circuit right now. As they head into the backside of the circuit.
That and a big train of cars from 14th forward. I don't know quite how far. I think it's up to 7th or something.
Jan looks up the inside of Michael Griffithson. Oh goodness, very close racing here going into the final corner, but he can't quite get it done. Looks like he has a bit of a roll though.
Or Matto Small might be out.
Oh goodness. We have other close action back here. This is Hackman following Bruno Chacon. And people are getting constant yellow flags along here. I'm thinking it's just the proximity of the...
It's a fault that we had for F171 as well. That was close.
Yeah, it was close. People got to be careful going into Tarzan. It's easy to let the front tires get ahead of you, even in cars that don't have a lot of power. One car swerving all over the place. Looks like Adam Hackman having issues.
Yeah, had a close call with Adam with Bruno Chacon in Tarzan, and I think he may have eaten up his tires a bit.
All right. Well, hopefully Adam can get those cooled back down and continue in the race. Going back towards the front, it's still Tiago leading. David Junt is in 2nd place. He is about 4 seconds behind the lead, and another 4 seconds back is Peter Blum in 3rd as they go through the Tunnel Oost. Gerard Rion is being followed by Joe Miller. Dave Miller running in 6th. David Saber 7th. Jason Whited 8th. Michael Griffiths 9th. And Matias Estrella is 10th, being followed closely by Bruno Chacon and Adam Hackman. And I believe you're behind this group as well, Jonathan.
Yes. second or so up back on the road, just trying to catch back up. I lost a bit of the draft with a tiny mistake, so looking like a good fight up ahead. So I hope I can get stuck in.
Hopefully Hackman has been able to get that car underneath. He's looking up the inside of Chacon right now, but doesn't seem to... Oh my goodness, he is. He's fighting a loose condition in that car. I don't know if you could see that, Jonathan, but his back end was really stepping out as he exited. And there it is again. He's having lots of loose moments in that car.
Well, that's partly how you drive these fast. It's a very tricky proposition. I know a few drivers are running the lowest possible wing, and I wouldn't be surprised if Adam is possibly trying that, but I don't think he should be going for the move here. He doesn't. That's good driving.
Yeah, Adam is smart enough to know that he's not going to push the car beyond what it needs to do or wants to do, and given the way it's reacting right now, I don't think it's probably a good idea. Although he definitely seems to have speed enough to stay with Bruno and possibly overtake. We're working lap number 5 right now, out of 24. Adam looking up the inside here, but still, very tricky place to be trying to do any overtaking here. His best. Oh, it sounds like Bruno might have missed a shift there. He did. Adam looks like he's going to try to counterattack here. Here he is.
This will be a close one.
Yeah, he's looking up the inside. And there he goes. Adam goes past into 11th place, overtaking Bruno. Next target for Adam will be Matias Estrella. So the next closest battle, it appears, is between David Saber and Jason Whitehead. Jason Whitehead closing in on David little by little here. Oh, and it looks like Joe Miller is starting to close in on, it appears that's Gerard Rion. Fastest lap of the race just recorded by Thiago Canola. Riding on board now with Joe Miller as he pursues Gerard Rion for 4th place into Tarzan corner, and you can hear that engine note for the Alpine is quite different than the other cars.
Is of course the only other make than a Ford in this championship being a Renault prepared by Judo.
I thought it would have been Gordini prepared, but I will default to your expertise on that.
Well, I suppose they. I would suppose Gordini was saying, well, we want this much money. And Renault said, yeah. I wonder if we can find someone who could do it for a little less money. And lo and behold, they found Judo, which, to be fair, I don't think is that bad of a tuning company anyway, so. I mean, sitting where they are, I think both of them are quite far up the grid, so...
Those Dutch stewards still haven't taken that piece off the front straight of little Al's car. Stewardship here at Zandvoort leaving a bit to be desired.
Well, maybe they are having a bit of a smoke at the side of the road before they do anything about that. Sorry, I'm just doing the usual whatever it's called when you have a thought about a people, a general misconception about people.
You mean
Dutch
a stereotype?
Yeah, the Dutch are great and they do a lot of hard work. So
All right, so there you see David Yunt coming through in second place. Long gap now from David Yunt to the third place car, which should be Peter Blom. There he is. Gerard Rion and sorry, not Dave Miller, Joe Miller, very close together. Then here comes Dave. So the closest battle on the track right now is between Joe Miller and Gerard Rion. If you can even call it a battle. But Joe definitely seems to be closing. Wonder if he got some setup help from David on this car, or maybe Coxon. Oh, goodness.
More likely to be Coxon.
Oh, no. Joe Miller has spun out. Joe Miller has spun his Alpine onto the grass. He gets back onto the circuit. It appears he didn't hit anything, but my goodness, he's going to lose tons of places here. And the whole thing that preceded that was he touched the grass with his left rear tire. Let's take a look at a replay of what just happened here. Joe Miller, and here we're looking at it from the back of his car so you can see firsthand what happened. Right there, his left rear tire gets on the grass, and you can see the grass pickup there. And it's just that little amount that sends him out of control. Lucky for him, though, he doesn't hit anything. And he comes back on without getting in any way. There goes another Miller by him, Dave Miller. So Joe is all the way down to 7th place now after that spin. Now he's being pursued by Jason Whitehead. Oh, goodness. Here's David Saber and Dave Miller right close together. See if Saber can go up into the top 5 here as they're heading to the bridge turn by the Tunnel Oost.
Oh, dear. Oh, hey.
This section is all flat out in these cars until you get to this last turn here. Downshifting. Saber trying to get the measure on Miller here. Looks like he might have a roll on him here coming down to Tarzan. It could be close. And Saber powers by on the outside, but David's not going to have any of it. He's running toe-to-toe with him into the corner here. We'll see what happens when we get down to Tarzan. Who breaks first? It appears David Saber does. Miller hangs on the outside, keeps 5th place. Fantastic. Very well done.
It would seem Dave really likes these cars, so I think he'll fight very hard to hold on to his position.
Yeah, he's not going to give it up without a fight. But here comes David catching back up with Miller again. He's got the inside line going into this turn, but he doesn't break early enough to, or late enough to get on the inside. So they're going to stay nose to tail going through the left-right sweeper. And it looks like Joe Miller has started to catch up to them again. So despite that incident, he hasn't lost a heck of a lot of time. David Saber all over Dave Miller. All right, coming down. Looks like he's going to go for another pass here. Looking up the outside. He's got him for the time being. See if David's going to make an attempt. Looks up the inside. No, sir. Not going to happen. He's got Joe Miller breathing down his neck, too. It's going to be a Miller and Miller show. So that brings David Saber up to 5th place. Dave Miller down to 6th, but he's not giving up. He's right there with Dave Saber. These two look like they're really evenly matched. Front of the order has not changed. That is 11 laps complete for Thiago Canola. Now working lap number 12. That's halfway distance. 7 seconds is his lead right now to David Yunt. Peter Blum is in third place. Gerard is fourth. And he's got a bit of distance between himself and Dave Saber. Dave Miller and Joe Miller running together. So this three-way battle is the closest battle on the circuit at the moment. Joe Miller looks like he's taking a look at Dave Miller here. Definitely has more speed. Pulls to the looks up the inside into Tarzan. But Dave Miller breaks. Oh goodness, Dave is spinning out. Oh no! Dave Miller loses the back end of the car, and Tarzan loses the position to Joe Miller. Here comes Jason Whitehead. And it looks like he might know. Dave's going to hang on. He's going to hang on to that position over Jason Whitehead. But goodness, the back end of the car just got away from him there, and he gave the position up to Joe Miller. So in just the span of a few laps, Dave Miller has dropped from 5th down to 7th. Mrs. Dave will be using red-tinted emojis on YouTube, I'm quite certain. Oh, she already has.
She'll certainly be firing him on, so to speak.
Yes, she and Barry Lynn in the stands with their pennants and foam one fingers. Joe Miller now well clear into 6th place, and he's actually closing up on David Saber a little bit, so there's a potential here, despite what's happened with Joe Miller, that he's going to get back in the top 5. We'll see. Meanwhile, Dave Miller is still under attack from Jason Whitehead. Well, not attack, but he's close enough that he can start to think about making a move eventually. There's that piece in the road again. Oh, and you can see Jason Whitehead getting loose there in that turn. So people are starting to... I wonder if tire wear is already playing a role halfway through the race.
Well, at least in the right-hand turns it should be. We're heating up the tires quite a bit in these cars. Especially those of us running possibly slightly lesser downforce, or
it's true that
having to go a little bit quicker in the corners because we don't have quite the same engine power as those with a Nova motor, Ford especially.
Joe Miller is now closing on David Saber, so we could be looking at a battle for 5th place in a minute here. God, he's closing quickly.
He has something to chase, so that always helps with going a little bit quicker.
And it looks as if David's taking an inside line trying to protect the corner, but let's see what happens when they get down to Tarzan here. As Joe Miller's on the outside, let's see if he can hold on to it. No, sir. David Saber breaks a little later and is able to keep the inside line. Good racing. Come into this next hairpin. We'll see what happens. Yeah, David's car's looking a little looser than it has in the past. Oh, there's Greg Delacella getting out of the way. He's going a lap down. Again, Thiago leads 7 seconds ahead of David Yunt, who is in 2nd. Peter Blum is 3rd. Gerard Rion 4th. Oh, it looks like Joe Miller might have a chance here. It's definitely closer. As they come into Tarzan, he's going to try probably the same move again. Let's see if David decides to stay on the inside, protect his line again. This time David he's immediately going for the inside once he gets off the corner. He's trying to protect that inside line. But Joe had a slower exit off of that corner, so doesn't look like he'll have a chance to attack this lap, at least. Yeah, much too far back at this point. So yes, it's Canola, Yunt, Peter Blum, Gerard Rion in 4th, David Saber, and Joe Miller, who you're watching now, are 5th and 6th. Or sorry, I think I said Joe Miller, Dave Miller. Dave Saber's 5th. Joe Miller is 6th. David Miller is 7th. Jason Whited is 8th. And you can see how close they are there. Very close battle shaping up here between Matthias Estrella and Michael Griffiths. Michael Griffiths, who also drives in the 1995 STW series.
Indeed, I think he has one of the Honda Accords in that one.
Oh boy, he might have a shot here at Tarzan after this lap is complete. Downshifting now. He's also got Whitehead and Dave Miller right ahead of him, so this is a 4-car freight train practically. Heading down the straightaway now. It looks like he might have a shot at Estrella once they get to the end of the straight, but I know Matthias, I've raced against him in the past. He's very tough. Does not give an inch. Does not appear that Griffiths can get it done this time. Here's the view from Dave Miller's car, looking back at Jason Whitehead, who's just holding station there in his martini, waiting for the slightest gap to open up. And meanwhile, you can see the cars ahead, David Saber. And I believe, yes, Joe Miller has gotten past David Saber. Let's take a look at a replay of what happened here. Looks like Dave... it happened a while ago. It must have happened in... Must have happened in Tarzan. Let's go back and have a look in a replay here. It must have been a mistake that David made, because it seems to be quite far back, but Joe Miller is now back up into 5th place again. But David Saber's not going to take this line down. He's staying right with him, more or less. He's got him in his sights. Joe Miller getting loose there, which is going to cost him some speed. And he runs very close to that grass again. He doesn't want to have another incident like the one he had a few laps ago. Now working lap 17, or going into lap 17. And here's Jason Whitehead, looking to make an attempt on Dave Miller. Looks to the inside, but thinks better of it. Heading into Tarzan. Both of these guys are pushing their cars to the limit. Whitehead's now much closer to Miller. We'll see if he can make a move. It'll be hard to do it on the backside, but we'll see. Fastest lap of the race again set by Tiago Canola, 1 minute 27.794. Here comes Whitehead looking at Miller now. Definitely has a shot here. Oh my goodness. Very close. Tarzan's going to be his best opportunity, I would think. Downshifting. Oh, yes, he's got him perfectly set up now. Whitehead upshifts into top gear, now looking down the straightaway. Miller stays on the outside. Basically, Whitehead's going to have to go to the inside. He does. Going to the inside. Dave Miller breaks a bit later and keeps the position. He's hanging on the outside there. Meanwhile, Griffiths is right with Matthias Estrella. So we got two really good battles here. One for 9th and one for 7th. Oh, goodness! It appeared... Oh, that was... My apologies. That was a ping issue. Griffiths did not go off the road. But here they are, these three running together. Now he's actually getting closed up on by Adam Hackman. And that's a battle for 10th place. The point about tires is a good one from Jonatan, because you can only push the tires so far before they start to heat up, and then you lose adhesion.
Indeed, and at least my tires, I'm having to push quite hard in the corners, but I'm hitting around 98, 97, 99 degrees on the tires on the straights, so...
Matthias Estrella has now got his mirrors full of Michael Griffiths coming off of the final turn, cuts the grass on the outside just a tiny bit. Looks like he's going to have a shot coming down to the end of the straightaway here. He is now technically ahead. Here comes, oh my goodness, Jason Whited looking all over the place for a way past Miller, can't find it. But Estrella maintains his position ahead of Griffiths, and Hackman is closing in. I'd imagine Griffiths at this point is getting kind of frustrated because he's made a few attempts on Estrella now and can't quite get it done. Oh my goodness, Estrella has a very slow entry into that corner, so Griffiths might have another shot here going into Tarzan. Estrella one's... Oh, there's contact there between Estrella and Griffiths. So things getting very tense here in the closing laps of this race. Estrella definitely having issues with his tires, and now Griffiths is in a perfect place to pounce. Let's see if he can get by. Coming down the long straight, is perfectly placed, and he pops out, looking for that position. Matthias Estrella looks like he's got more straightaway speed than Griffiths, and that's the reason he can stay ahead. So one would conjecture that he has a lower rear wing, which gives him that speed, but it's costing him time in the twisty bits of the track, because that's where Michael Griffiths tends to catch back up. Meanwhile, Whitehead...
It's either that or the power plants.
It could be that too, you're correct. So Whitehead still follows Dave Miller. Let's look ahead here. Sabre has lost some ground to Joe Miller, who's solidly in 5th place now, and Gerard is 4th, all by himself. 3rd, Peter Blum, pretty much by himself. 2nd is David Yunt coming up to lap Almeida and Matos Mall. And the gap between Tiago and David Yunt is now down to 6.3 seconds. So one would think that that's probably just Tiago slowing up a bit.
Just taking it a little bit easier with the
lap traffic, easier, I think.
I mean, if you have that kind of lead, you don't really need to rush getting past anyone, so that's very good tactical driving from Tiago.
Oh, and he's just put you a lap down just there, so now you have David Yunt coming up on you in a second here. There's Mathis Mull, who's also a lap down. Luis Almeida. So when Tiago comes by this time, he will have 3 laps to go. 22, 23, and 24 left. Oh goodness, here this battle is still brewing between Jason Whitehead and Dave Miller, but Dave is staying right with him. Same is true with the battle between Estrella and Griffiths, but now Griffiths is under attack from Hackman. Whited still shadowing Miller, basically. You can see how they're starting to clip the grass here. They're running low on adhesion with these tires.
That and possibly the cars becoming a little bit nervous with the balance transfer with fuel going out of the car
yes,
as
that
well.
too. Looking back from Dave Miller's car, Jason Whited looks like he's going to make another attempt here. He certainly is. Looking up the inside. This is where Dave's superior braking keeps him ahead, and it looks like it might happen again as he's on the outside. Oh, Whited looks up the inside, but no! Dave Miller is going to keep the position again. Wow, he really knows how to run that rail on the outside. And meanwhile, you can see Estrella and Griffith still fighting with Hackman watching points behind them. Griffiths is in a really high-pressure situation. Oh my goodness, Estrella backs off huge. So yeah, he's having a really hard time maintaining speed on the backside of the course. His car is definitely set up, or it definitely works better in a straight line than in turns. That's for sure. Turns. Turn starts with the T. But Griffiths is right with him now. We'll see if he can make a move. Kind of hard to do it back here. There's only one line through these corners, roughly. Estrella gets wide, or not wide, just loose, exiting. And now here's where Estrella just like pulls away, and you can see how much more power he has. Although, I don't know, Griffiths has got a little bit of juice here on him. Yeah, he is got a roll, so let's see. Maybe he'll try something, maybe not. No. Here's Whited once again, looking up the inside of Miller. Can't get it done. Same deal. Dave Miller just holds the outside and brakes a little bit later. This car works fantastic out there. Griffiths now bottled up behind Estrella again. And Hackman probably reasoning to himself, well, if I get ahead of Griffiths, I'll just be stuck between both of them, and that won't be much better than the situation I'm in now. So it's just going to hold station here maybe until the final lap or so, which is actually coming up next. 2 laps to go for this group, including our leader. All right, so we are now on the final lap of the race. You're riding with Thiago Canola as he's on the backside of the course. And this is definitely a win that Thiago needed in this series. The only problem is that in second place is the points leader, so he's not really going to be reeling him in that much. So Thiago doing the absolute best he can, but he's going to need some help from other people in the form of incidents and calamities, and he hasn't gotten that help. There was some calamity early on, but it didn't involve the people that were closely associated with the championship. So here he comes off the final quarter in car number 22, a March. And for the second time in this series, we're going to have Thiago Canola as a winner in the British F3 competition. There he is, crossing the line, winning for Peter Bloor Racing. Excellent drive. Second place goes to the points leader, Thiago Canola. I'm sorry. Second place goes to the points leader, David Yunt. Here comes Peter Blum finally into the main stage of, and he's going to take third place. Excellent result for him. Gerard Rion slowly coming in. He's going to finish in fourth place. That's a great result for him. He hasn't had the best of results lately. This is interesting. Here's David Saber closing up on Miller must have had a slight issue at the end there, but Miller is going to finish 5th. Joe Miller. David Saber finishes in 6th. Dave Miller coming to the line with Jason White behind him. And look at this. Matthias Estrella, is he going to make it to the line? Yes, he just makes it to the line ahead of Michael Griffiths, who finishes in 10th. Adam Hackman is in 11th. 12th place is going to be Bruno Chacon. Points are paid down to 10th here, I believe. 13th is Jonatan Acerclinth. Good drive, Jonathan.
Reasonable.
Matos Mall is 14th. Mick Chapman, 15th. Almeida is 16th. 17th, Greg Delacella. And then these drivers were out of the race. Jan Kowalski, Victor Alsaker, Gerardo Magnano, Al Aquino, and Anders Nilsson was obviously our first retirement with that very unfortunate accident. So that was the first round. Tonight, the next race we're going to have is going to be I believe it's the island version of Oulton Park.
Yep.
So we're going to take a breather here, and we'll be right back with the next round, probably in 20 minutes or so. See you in a bit. Welcome back, everybody. So the qualifying session is about 5 minutes left in it. Thought we'd come back a little early and show you the action here. David Yunt currently has the fastest time on track with a time of 1 minute 28.745. Second is Thiago Canola, no huge surprise there. Third, Anders Nilsson, and he's going to be looking to improve from that really disastrous first lap. It started out so good. He was leading from third place, and then he had a huge accident at the end of the first lap, out of the race. So he's going to be looking to do better in this instance. In fourth place is Joe Miller right now, time-wise. He's in the pits. Matthias Estrella, also in the garage, is fifth. Adam Hackman is sixth. David Saber is 8th. 9th is Michael Griffiths, and 10th is Gerard Rion. 11th, Jason Whited. 12th, Bruno Chacon. 13th, Matos Mal. Actually, let me go back through this. It appears now that Dave Miller is 4th, and he is on a flyer right now. Let's see what this lap brings him. Into the hairpin section of the course. We'll take a look at the map of the course in a minute. Want to see how this qualifying lap finishes for Dave. Heading up the hill now. Downshifting now. Heading to the start-finish line. Let's see if this impacts his time at all. He stays in fourth place. That was almost 4/10 slower than his best lap. But still, fourth place to start this race. If he can hold on to it in the next 3 minutes, is very good. Let's take a look at the track map itself for this race. This is the island circuit of Fulton Park. It has a little hairpin at the end there. And this is going to be a slightly longer race in terms of distance and lap count than the previous one this evening. 30 laps or 70.68 miles. So Canola and Nilsson are both in the garage. David Yunt continues to try to pile on with the position he's in. See if he can improve his time. His current time is 1:28.448. Heading up the hill once again. He's got Gerard Rion in front of him, but I think he'll be able to get it. Oh, he's up 36/100ths of a second. Has a bit of a loose moment there. That might cost him a 10th or so, but we'll see what happens when he comes down to take the... Oh, he's not going to complete the lap. He's slowing down. So I guess he figured that bobble precluded him from doing a good lap. Maybe he'll go for another one. We'll see here. Yes, he's going to go for another lap. Oh, right onto the curbing there. It's fast left-hander that takes him all the way down to the hairpin down here at the other end. Just 20 seconds to go, so if this is going to be his best lap, this is he doesn't have another shot. He already has the pole, but he wants to see if he can pad it a little bit. Looks much better in this section than he did before. Heading down to the final turn. Hangs a right, comes downhill. We'll see what his time is as he crosses the line. And... oh, just 55 hundredths, well, 0.055 seconds slower than his best. So he maintains the pole position. Starting second will be Tiago Canola. Starting third is Anders Nielsen. Fourth on the grid will be Dave Miller in the AB3 Racing Developments car. Fifth, Jonatan Acerclinth. My goodness. With a time of 1:31.225. Fantastic effort from Jonatan. Sixth on the grid will be Joe Miller. Seventh, Matthias Estrella. Eighth, Adam Hackman. Ninth, David Saber. And 10th, Michael Griffiths. So some interesting people in the first 10 places. Hello, Jonathan. Oh, hang on 1 second. There we go. Sorry about that.
Hey, good evening.
I understand you qualified fifth.
Yeah, I really like this Alton Park track, and
Well, evidently.
I've actually done a bit of practice with the Dastel ahead of the season, so looks like I've got the car sort of settled around here. It's a bit of a handle to get it to those times. At least it's really fun to drive.
Well, it's going to be an interesting race for sure. Not only are you starting fifth, but Dave Miller is starting fourth. So we've got broadcasters galore in the top five.
Indeed.
As we go into the...
warm-up now, yes, and
Yep.
nice to see both Joe Miller and Matthias Estrella with some really good qualifying performances as well.
Yeah, it's. I think this is going to be an exciting race because this track, as we were talking about earlier, I put the map back up. This track we've run in other mods, and it produces some really interesting results. I mean, obviously we've run this track in touring car racing, but I don't think we've run this version of the track in many things where there's just that hairpin at the end.
No, I don't think we have before. The versions we've ran is the full layout where you go down to Shell's hairpin, and we've done the Fosters where you sort of go wide at Cascade, the bottom of the hill left-hander, and go a tight right instead. Fortunately, it looks like Matthias Estrella has been forced to call it quits due to the late hour of the race, so fortunate but understandable.
Yeah, because we did get a very late start, unfortunately, because of all the technical issues with the DQs.
Indeed.
All right, so cars are going out on their warm-up laps. Those of you who are joining us late, let's talk about what's coming up soon at HSO real quickly. Next Sunday, September 22nd, is going to be the Escort Radar Warning 200. We go back IndyCar Racing round 10 of 15. It's Sunday, September 22nd at 2000 CET. Then on the 25th of September, The following Wednesday, we go back touring car racing, the 1995 STW Series International ACV Euro Sprint from Spa-Francorchamps. That's on Wednesday, September 25th. And looking even further ahead, October 13th, Sunday, kart racing. It's the Quaker State 500, the third jewel in the 500-mile Triple Crown race series. Round 11 of 15 in the kart series overall. And that's Sunday, October 13th at 2000 CET. So predictions for this race, Jonathan.
It'll be difficult to not put David Junt as the prospective winner. I think he took hold by 4/10 or something like that. So that Alpine is definitely working well around here. He showed that last time we visited Bolton Park as well. Other than that, it could be a very close race for remaining participants, I think.
You think Nilsson is going to have a good chance to do better in this race?
As long as he survives at 1 and gets into the groove, he's definitely in with a good shot at a podium and definitely a top 10. That I'm fairly sure of.
David Junt doing some last-minute laps. Oh, he almost turns his car over at the hairpin there. There's a sausage curb on the inside there that people are going to want to look out for.
One of those turns where you want to get as tight as possible to the apex, who is actually trying the limits of full fuel car, it looks like. But
Certainly
yeah,
looks
you
like
really want to try and get as tight as possible in that hairpin to sort of straighten out the exit so you can get as much speed as you can with you up the hill. Down to the Nickerbrook / Brooklands chicane.
That's that Alpine looks like it takes a pretty big nosedive when he brakes for a corner, and then that nose raises a lot when he accelerates.
That's probably one of the handling perks of that machine, I think.
Mm-hmm.
That's one of the great things with this mod as well. While the times are fairly close, the handling of the cars are very different in of themselves. So dependent on your driving style, you may suit, for example, one of the marches, but won't be able to get any speed out of the Alpine or the GRD. Or you might be very well suited to the Dastel and the Royale, but struggle a lot in the march.
Yeah, it depends on your style of drive, for sure. And also the rig setup that you probably have. Some rigs might be better suited to certain cars.
Indeed.
So we're going to the race session already.
Yep. Due to us being behind, we'll be running we ran the 5 minutes warm up.
All right. Well,
Just to
given
let everyone have a quick break and get a quick feel for the fuel.
all right. Well, given that we're late, that's probably a pertinent move, or sorry, not pertinent. Prudent is the word I'm looking for. Another P word. All right. So this is a 30-lap race. A little bit longer in distance than the previous one. We'll see. We'll see if Tiago is able to make it a daily double. He's got David Junt there right next to him. on the pole, so we'll see how this works out. Rev's starting to come up. They're going to go on one parade lap, and then we'll have the second race of our doubleheader this evening. There we go. On the pole, David Yunt in the first of the Alpines. Second is Tiago Canola, Peter Bloor Racing. Third, Anders Nilsson in the number 20 March. Hopefully he's going to have a better race this time out. Fourth, Dave Miller, AB3 Racing Development entry. Jonatan Acerclinth starts fifth for Hesketh Racing. Good luck to you, sir.
Thank you very much.
Sixth is Joe Miller in the other Alpine. Had an excellent outing in the previous race, albeit with one incident. We'll see how he does here. Adam Hackman starts seventh. Eighth is David Saber. Ninth, Michael Griffiths. 10th, Gerard Rion, who finished fourth in the previous race. 11th is Jason Whited. 12th, Bruno Chacon. Nice qualifying for him. 13th, Matas Mall. 14th, Victor Alsaker. 15th, Mick Chapman. And rounding out the field is Greg Delicella in the other Peter Bloor Racing entry. So it's only a 16-car grid for this second race.
Yes, unfortunately, since it's a Sunday, many need to get up to work, so many have decided to not partake in race 2 in preference of being able to get up to work.
Yeah, when it gets late in the day on a Sunday, sleep is definitely an important thing to consider.
Definitely so.
But we do have the championship contenders up here. One notable absent name, I believe, is Grant Riddall.
Yes, I believe he is in Greece on vacation, so...
Well, he's going to... well, on the one hand, that is going to help Tiago, because he was trailing... He was not a second in points, but third. So if he wants to close on David, it definitely helps. But still, a mountain of a task if he's going to put a dent in David's championship total, especially since he is starting in second behind David. So they come up to the grid now. Here they are. We'll have a look at the start from over, looking over the left front corner of David's car, so you can see where Tiago is in relation to him at the start. The other cars pulling into the grid. Starters orders already because of the small number of cars. Stand by. And the race is underway. David gets away good. Tiago's going to slot in behind him. And it looks like Dave Miller's side by side with Anders Nilsson as they go into the first turn. David is trying that outside groove. It does not appear that it will, well, maybe it may work for him. Yes, Dave Miller is just inching ahead into fourth place. He has. Anders Nilsson drops to, third place. Anders Nilsson drops to fourth. David Yunt leads. Tiago Canola second. Dave Miller is in third place. Anders is fourth as they head down to the hairpin for the first time. Miller just ahead of Nilsson. Oh, goodness! Joe Miller has spun out in the hairpin. He's on the grass. He's trying to get going again. My goodness. So not the start he would have wanted. Into the chicane is David Yunt heading back the other way. Canola, Dave Miller, Nilsson, Acerclinth, Gerard Rion. Griffiths is being hounded by David Saber, and Whited hounding Mick Chapman. So several good battles to watch already as they come down to the final corner. They're almost there. They got to go down one more hill. Here they are. David Yunt, and he hasn't broken away from Tiago quite yet. Into the final corner. Yunt, Canola, Miller very closely shadowing Nilsson, Jonatan Acerclinth, Gerard Rion, Michael Griffiths, David Saber, Adam Hackman. Oh, Mick Chapman! Oh, there's contact between Mick Chapman and it looked like it was Jason Whited, but Jason Whited stays ahead of him. Hopefully not too much damage. Here comes Dave Miller. Maybe there is some damage on Mick's car because he looked to take a pretty hard hit there. Saber continuing to follow Michael Griffiths, and Griffiths is right behind Gerard Rion. Oh, Canola looking for a way to get by David Yunt already. Took a slightly different line into the hairpin, but it didn't quite work for him. See, he's right with him now into the chicane, back and forth. Anders Nielsen has broken away from Dave Miller just a bit. And Jonatan Acerclinth has got a healthy cushion between himself and Gerard Rion. But unfortunately for Gerard, he's got quite a number of people behind him breathing down his neck, looking to get by. Heading into this fast section now. Yunt continues to lead. Canola's in second. It appears we already have one car out of the race. It's Greg Delacella. That's too bad. So 15 cars still running. Working lap number 3 now. Dave Miller looking very stout at this point. Not gaining any time on Anders Nielsen, but not really losing it either. Acerclinth is still in 5th. Gerard Rion starting to pull out a little bit of time between himself and 7th place, and he's got Acerclinth right in front of him now. So this group starting to close together now. Oh, and here's David Saber. Actually, he just went up to 7th place. What happened there? Now he's 8th. That was a ping issue, I believe. So he's following Michael Griffiths, who's in 7th. Canola's starting to lose a bit of ground now to David Yunt, who has just set the fastest lap of the race, 129.447. Nielsen 3rd. Miller is 4th. Jonatan Acerclinth now starting to see more of Gerard Rion behind him, but Jonathan's been here before, and he knows the circuit very well, so if Gerard's going to get around him, he's going to have to make a very strong case. Heading into this long left-handing sweeper, up to the hairpin. As Jonathan had mentioned to us before, that we don't generally run this layout of Oulton Park very often.
Dave Miller made a slight error up ahead of me, ran a little bit wide coming out, so we're all closing up just as you said a little while ago.
Yep, so we'll see if through this chicane, I can see that chicane causing people problems later as the tires start to wear down and the weight distribution changes in the car.
Also a little bit dependent on how much you actually try to go through that chicane.
Looks like Gerard has slipped back a little bit. Oh, here we have a battle between it's Adam Hackman and David Saber. This is a really close battle for 8th place. Hackman almost had Saber on the main straight there, but Saber was just able to hold him off. Oh my goodness, we have Michael Griffiths going. Oh, and David Saber went off just now. I think he was reacting to Michael Griffiths going off. Locked up the tires, and that leaves Adam Hackman to go all the way up to 7th place. He picks up 2 positions. He goes, thank you very much. My goodness. That was a rather startling development. Joe Miller is now under attack from 2 cars at once here. It looks like Marcus Mall and Jason Whited and David Saber. David Saber, this is him recovering from that spin he just had, but look at Whitehead. He's all over Matos Mall, looking for a way to get by. A view from inside Jason Whitehead's car. David looks like he's being held up by Jason Whitehead as well. They come through the corner. Whitehead goes onto the grass. Looks like that might cost him the position. David Saber going up the inside. He's almost got the place. Yes, there he goes. He gets by just on the inside, takes the entry line away, and Jason Whitehead runs wide again, so he might be having some issues with understeer in that car. Meanwhile, Matus Mull, that gives him a little bit of a breather, and he is now trying to catch up to the number 31 car, which is Bruno Chacon, and just ahead of them is Joe Miller. Griffiths has got a bit of room now, up to Hackman. And we still have Dave Miller running fourth, with Jonatan running in fifth. Nilsson is third, Thiago second, and David Yunt is the leader.
I'm really having to work. Dave is doing a really good job.
Oh no, Adam Hackman out of the race. From 13th place. Let's see what happened.
That's unfortunate.
Here's a replay. Having to accelerate a bit to get to what happened. Oh, it looks like he just got... Oh my goodness, he hit the barrier on the inside of the chicane. His car just whipped back too much and he lost his left front. That's just too bad. My goodness, what a... That's really unfortunate. So that's another retirement to join Greg Delacella. So points may be going cheap tonight because of the low amount of cars. But look at this battle here between Matus Mull and David Saber. David Saber right with him. So is Whitehead. You got three white cars together. You can throw a blanket over them. And Bruno Chacon has got a great view of this action from his mirror, but I'm sure he's looking forward, not backward. Matus Mull looking for a place to squeak by Bruno and escape from this frenzied group of cars behind him. Bruno running in. Oh my goodness, it looks like someone's going up the outside there. That was David Saber trying to get some position on Matus. Comes back on the inside, almost clips the right rear of Matus's car. Matus Mull trying to maintain his 10th place. Oh my goodness, taking some big chunks out of those curbs in the chicane. They're going to want to watch that. They don't want to have an incident similar to what just happened to Adam Hackman. David Yunt, fastest lap of the race, 129.106. So he's not letting up. Oh, goodness. Matos goes on the inside and he overcooks it. He's in the middle of the track, loses 2 positions. That was, I think that was a bit of a lack of experience move on his part. He didn't really have the inside line there and lost and just came in way too hot. I'm glad to think everybody was lucky to get out of that without a problem. That actually breaks things up a little bit, so some people might be getting some relief there. Joe Miller in 8th following Michael Griffiths. Girard still in 6th. Jonatan still following Dave Miller, who is running in 4th. So all of Jonathan's experience on this track definitely paying dividends. Driving the Dastel very well.
Certainly trying.
Well,
I'm giving it all it has, and I think Dave is doing the same.
Well, you've got a good 4-second cushion between yourself and Girard Rion, so the good news is you don't have to worry about someone breathing down your neck. You just have to focus on the car in front, which is not the case for a lot of people back here. There's very close quarters action Although now, after that incident with Matos Mall, it appears that people are spread out a little bit. There are now 14 cars running in this race. I said 15, they're actually 14. Last points paying position goes to Jason Whitehead at the time, and he is closing rapidly on David Saber for 9th. So we'll see if anything develops here. Into turn number 1. David Saber
did a bit of a mistake up ahead. When I do one here, oh hey.
Oh. So things are getting closer
Status
between
quo.
Jonatan and David. Oh, Joe Miller right
That's
with Michael
unfortunate, it's a
Griffiths now.
status quo.
Joe Miller right with Michael Griffiths now as they exit the hairpin. Let's see what happens up here at the chicane. Or actually, that might have been the chicane we were just looking at. Or no, wait, is this it? Yes, this is the chicane. Into the chicane. Miller on the inside. Ooh, it looks like he might have come very close to tapping Matthias Estrella there. Or, I'm sorry, Michael Griffiths. They come over the hill now. Yeah, Miller definitely has the speed to get by Griffiths. He just needs to find the right place to do it. Only 3/10 between these two. Oh, goodness. Here's that battle between David Saber and Jason Whitehead, and it is not cooling off at all. Saber didn't have any contact with that incident he had, but he's certainly taken big bites out of the turns as if he's got understeer problems. Yeah, he runs way onto the curb there. He's looking for a way by now. Up the inside, coming up to the chicane. Can he do it? He's going to have to brake a little bit late to get alongside. No, he decides it's probably not a good idea. Locks up, slots in behind David. Smart move. He didn't have enough pace there to do that. Coming down to the final turn here, definitely staying with him. Gerard by himself. Joe Miller in 7th. Yeah, it looks like Gerard lost some ground there. Yeah, now it's Griffiths in 6th with Joe Miller in 7th. And they are, goodness, they're about 9 seconds behind the battle between Acerclinth and Dave Miller. So that gives you two a little more breathing room.
Yeah, but they both closed up on us, so we'll have to work for it, I think, to keep ahead for the whole race.
All race is is exactly a third of the way done now. We've completed 10 laps, working lap number 11. Meanwhile, David Yund is just cruising out there. He's put up another fastest lap of the race, 128.955. And Tiago Canola, 2nd for Peterborough Racing, 3rd for Anders Nilsson. Nice to see that Anders doesn't have the misfortune that the first race brought him. Dave 4th, Jonatan Acerclinth 5th. Griffiths in a fairly solid 6th at the moment, but Joe Miller is under attack now from Gerard Rion. Oh, Joe Miller runs wide on the final turn, and this could be an opportunity for Gerard Rion. into turn number 1. Joe's definitely, the back end of his car is fidgeting a little bit. This long left-hander. They're starting to close on Michael Griffiths, it looks like, too.
Now it's really close for 4th as well. Will I make a mistake?
Oh, no, 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 no! Oh, Jonatan runs onto the grass just a bit. But he's still right with
A little
Dave
bit of
Miller.
lack of downforce from being close behind.
So spoiled air. Oh, goodness.
I don't think I'm close enough.
No, no. Coming down to the final turn here. Great battle here between two of our broadcasters. Dave Miller and Jonatan Acerclinth, trading in their microphones for steering wheels and giving us a good show. It's like Dave's got a little bit better handle this lap than he did previously. Oh, Jason Whited is in the pits. Not sure why this is, but he's losing tons of ground. Michael Griffiths is out of the race. Oh, no. What happened here? Here's a replay. He was doing so well. Okay, runs off the course there, but he seems okay. Did he have an accident of some kind? He did. He spun out, hit the grass, went a bit wide, and it looks like... Did he touch anything? No. But I guess he just figured, forget this, I'm done. So, but Jason Whited is in the pits still. I don't know what that's all about. So that promotes Mick Chapman to 10th. Last points paying position. Matos Mall is
Dave Miller
9th.
made a mistake.
Oh! Side by side. And Jonatan Acerclinth goes through into 4th place. Dave Miller drops to 5th. Let's take a look at a replay of what just happened here. Dave Miller ahead of Jonatan at this point. Coming down to this corner. Jonatan pops out, takes a look on the inside. Dave... Oh, yes, he gets loose, and that allows Jonatan to come by the outside. So, Jonatan taking advantage of OPP. Good heads-up driving from Jonatan.
All about forcing that arrow out of him, I think. Got a little bit lucky now. It's a question of can I stay ahead?
Well, Miller's staying right with Acerclinth as they come through the chicane. Oh, both of you run onto the dirt just a little bit there. No worries. And Miller has a much more conservative exit on that turn this lap. He doesn't want to make that mistake again. Into the first turn. Yeah, looking much more controlled now. Maybe he gave his tires a chance to cool off a little bit. The gap between the leader and second place is now almost 3 seconds. There's Yunt coming through. Tiago Canola in second, 3 seconds, and then we have another reasonable gap between him and those two cars are actually, a lap down. It was Alsaker and Mick Chapman. So now there's a long gap. 20 seconds practically, all the way back to Anders Nilsson. Another fastest lap. Or no, that's not fastest lap. It's just what his current lap is, because I'm still on Junt as I focused on him, but just I have the crane cam. Here comes Acerclinth and Miller, still locked in a very close battle. Best battle on the track right now, frankly. And Joe Miller running by himself in 6th place. Gerard trying to close in 7th. Jason Whited getting out of the way of Canola so that he can continue on his merry way. But that, just having to deal with Whited cost him a bit of time. Well, it's about 2.5 seconds, roughly. Jonatan pulling out a bit of a gap now on Dave Miller.
Nutty.
Here comes the chicane.
Hey. Oh, worked.
Oh, Dave takes a big swipe of the wheel in his GRD, nearly losing the car. That cost him a few tenths. Gives Jonatan a bit more room. So
I honestly think we're trading small mistakes here.
Well, Miller's car, speaking from my perch, looks to be a little bit more squirrely than your Dassel. So the question will become: is Dave's car going to get worse as the race goes on, or is it going to get better? As we are now
difficult to say. Question is how mine will react as well.
True. As we're now on lap 17. So we're past half distance in this race. Nilsson must be really relieved that this race is going well for him and he doesn't have much drama to deal with. Canola, this gap is basically increasing by about a few tenths a lap. He's got 3.3 seconds between himself and David Junt now. And the gap between Jonatan and is a kind of a slim second, growing to a fat second in some sections here. David Junt, fastest lap of the race, 128.931, so he continues to open it up. Oh no! I believe David Miller just had an incident there.
Oh no!
Let's see. Let's have a replay there of what happened, because I heard his engine note go kind of sour for a minute there, but I couldn't see. This is the replay of what happened. Comes down to the final corner. Yes, he spins the car, but doesn't hit anything, and he gets back going straight fairly quickly. So. And the good news is he didn't lose any spots. He's still 5th place. But unfortunately, that drops him way behind 4th. So there goes the battle that he was having with Jonatan. So Jonatan now 15 seconds
Definitely unfortunate, but...
Oh, I don't think you're crying too much about this. That makes things much more comfortable for you.
Well...
15
maybe,
seconds.
But it's always good to have a fight.
Yeah. 15 seconds now, or 16, separates Jonatan from his countryman, Anders Nilsson. And he's got a 6 or 7 second cushion on Dave Miller now. Joe Miller in 6th. Gerard Rayon 7th. Chacon in 8th. Mato Small is 9th. And Victor Alsaker is 10th, and he's being pursued by Mick Chapman. This is probably the best battle in the circuit now, and it's a battle for the last points-paying position, so there is some significance to it. Alsaker in his BP entry, locking up there, going into the final turn. These two are actually a lap down to the leaders already, so they're going to have a slightly shorter race than the others. But Mick is definitely catching Victor fast here. Into the first turn. Looks like he's going to be able to attempt a pass here. Heading on the inside of the curb, but that's going to be the outside of this next left-hander. Yeah, not really the right place to overtake there, Mick. But now they're going to head down.
But he could get the cut back to the hairpin here.
He could, and yeah, Jonathan's got a good view of this. He's directly behind this group. Victor,
I think
all out of shape.
touched the grass, I think.
Oh, all out of shape going into that corner. I don't know how he managed to keep the car under control. Here comes Jonathan to lap these two. And it
Looks like both of them are saying, okay, let's let the faster car by, and then we'll continue our scrap
well,
here.
that was smart of them to do that, and very sporting.
Indeed, sporting especially.
So Mick is continuing to pursue Victor now. Looking on the outside here of Victor, but again, it's not probably the best place to look for an overtake. Oh, Victor onto the grass again. This might be the opportunity that Mick is looking for. There he goes, into 10th place on the inside. Should be able to take or maintain it. Oh my goodness, Victor sweeps around the outside and maintains the position. So very good scrap going on between these two. Again, the outside groove proving to work in some cases with these cars. Mick darting behind, looking for a place to get by as they head into turn one. Working lap number 19 now. Mick definitely is running out of patience here. Going onto the grass, he's looking for any way to get by Victor for that 10th spot. He wants that 1 point in the championship. God, you can just see how nervous he is. Well, not nervous, but just frustrated. He wants to get by. Coming down to the hairpin here on the outside. Now the question is, can Victor cut back across? He does. Takes the position back, so this is a really good scrap here. Dave Miller coming up behind these two now, and he's going to want to get by them so he can set off in pursuit of Jonathan. Coming up to the chicane now. We'll see if Mick can set him up in the next few. Oh, Mick just bounds over the curb there. So he's trying his best to close it. Oh, Mick Chapman spins out. Mick Chapman is spun out, almost collects Dave Miller. Dave was very lucky to get by. Mick is now spinning his tires in the dirt, so that is basically going to ensure a 10th place finish for Victor as long as he doesn't do anything too untoward in the next few laps. And just as I say that, Victor has gone onto the grass, but I think that was more to let Joe Miller by than anything else. And Miller is now right up with Dave, so we've got a battle of the Millers brewing here. Joe is following David. This is a battle for 5th place. Heading into turn one. And, Joe's teammate is leading the race right now in the other Alpine. Heading into the long left-hander. And now down to the hairpin. Joe certainly seems to have a handle on this Alpine. Even in situations where he had incidents in the previous race, he was able to gather back up the time he had lost without too much trouble. So I'm not sure if this is just a one-off for him or if he's claimed this car for several races, but or for full time. But
I think it is a one-off.
Well, in any case. I'm sure he's enjoying driving this car based on his performance here and how he did in the previous race, despite the incidents he had.
For sure, as long as anytime you have a good battle, it's definitely enjoyable to drive these machines.
downshifting now. He's definitely gaining on Dave Miller. Let's take a look here at the cars as they come through. Down to the last turn. Canola in second. Shotgun is a lap down. And now we have a long wait for Anders Nilsson. Well, no, that's not Anders. It's another car. But it takes forever for Anders to get to where we're looking at. Or we were just looking at the first and second place stars. Here he comes now. Anders in third place. And in a minute, we'll see Jonatan come into view. And there's Jonatan, running in fourth place with the Dassel for the Teddy Bear team. The interesting question will be, where is Dave Miller? Here comes Dave now, and he has got in hot pursuit behind him, Joe Miller. It's a Miller and Miller show.
That's even worse than calling white and whited.
Oh, yes. And now Joe is on the inside of Dave. Looks like he might have the position as they come into the onto the main straight. He's right alongside him. They're heading for turn one. Joe technically has the position. He breaks for the corner. Yes, he goes up to fifth place. Dave Miller drops to sixth. So the question is, can Dave counterattack here? Looks like Joe's having a kind of a lurid moment of oversteer there. Heading down to the hairpin. Maybe it's just the engine note of that Alpine, but it sounds like it's going very slow.
I think it's mainly the engine note.
Into the chicane.
Because if you compare the Fords, the whole base sounds like it's a two-stroke. A lot of noise, but not much happening.
I can think of a lot of people in my life that would fit that description. A lot of noise, but not much happening.
True enough, true enough.
In any case, coming down to the final turn, it looks like Miller's got this position pretty well in hand. Joe Miller, I mean. Meanwhile, Jonatan is in a very comfortable fourth place, 21 seconds behind third, but 10 seconds in front of fifth, Joe Miller. And Joe is moving at a pretty fast clip, but the race is almost over, and I would have a hard time believing that he could close that quickly on Jonatan. Anders is in third, Thiago second, and David Yunt, who would have thunk it? This guy looks like he's going to win another one. Leading Thiago Canola, who won the last race by 4.5 seconds. David is coming up on two cars here that he's going to be putting a lap down. One of them is Jason Whited, who graciously gets out of the way. Heading into the chicane now, or this is the hairpin, my apologies. And this is Mick Chapman, who just recovered from that spin you saw earlier. Now they're coming to the chicane. You can just barely see Thiago in the back of the shot just before we cut to the next camera. So he's trying to hang on, but now the gap is 4 seconds, so it just not quite going to be Thiago's day on this occasion. And David Yunt really looking incredibly impressive in these cars. Even when he's not winning, he's second. So Yeah, that's how he has this incredible chokehold on the points situation. Looking at the
Again,
chopper.
that is how you win championships, by
It is.
scoring very good points at all
Like-
events.
It's by being consistent. Just ask Bobby Rahal. Most of his
Or the late great complete brain fade. Drove for Ferrari and McLaren.
You focus on driving.
Okay.
Teddy Bear team and
Niki Lauda.
yes. Yes.
Especially in his 84, he won his second or third championship.
Yeah, and beat Prost by a half a point.
Indeed. By always having good races, I can't remember him having that many good qualifying sessions compared to Prost, but was always there or thereabout in the races.
There's a fantastic pairing too in a racing team. Prost, who drives so smoothly it almost puts you to sleep, and Nicky, a almost computerized driver.
Very much so.
Now, Jonatan, very impressive to see you doing so well in this Dazzle, a car that you spent a lot of time with, and clearly you said at the top of the show you like this track, you spent time practicing here, and it clearly shows. So with another few laps to go, hopefully a top 5 is in the cards. Certainly looks that way.
Certainly the hope and aim.
Mm-hmm. Meanwhile, Joe Miller is in a solid 5th place, and he is, he's closing the gap down a little bit. It's 8.2 seconds, but not fast enough to make any inroads into 4th place. Miller is still 6th, Dave Miller, that is. Gerard is 7th, 8th, Bruno Chacon, 9th, Matos Moll, so if he hangs on, it'll be his first points finish in this series. I'm not sure if he scored points in other series, but it certainly will be one of his better finishes.
He did score in the STW
Okay, so this will be the
series earlier this week.
So this will definitely be the best finish he's had in this series. And then Victor is running in 10th. He's actually just been put a lap down by Tiago. And I don't think we've had any points finishes for the BP team, the Jacques Lafitte car. So that'll be nice to see that team score some points with the BP Martini. So, David Yunt continuing on now. He's overtaking Gerard Rion. Gap is coming down slightly. It's now 3.8 seconds, but certainly I think David's got the race well in hand. He just doesn't want to make any silly mistakes towards the end here.
He only has 2 laps left at the end of this lap, so
yeah, at the end of this there'll be 2 laps to go. So I guess at this point it becomes a question of mathematics. At what point does David win the championship outright, given his stranglehold that he has? We're about midway through
that's
right
a very
now.
good question.
Might be worth doing some mathematics before next round.
Probably. Not going to do them right now, though.
No, I wouldn't
Too
expect any.
hectic.
Certainly not. 2 laps to go. The fastest lap of the race has just been turned by Tiago Canola, 1 minute 28.786. So he hasn't given up. He's still going for it. He knows that it's not over until the fat lady sings, or as as I believe it was Murray Walker used to say, it's all over bar the shouting. So that's really cool to see Tiago still like giving it everything he has right up to the very end, even though it's almost certain that he's going to finish second. Here's a chopper shot of the chicane, and you can see how tight it is and how much actually David is drifting that car.
I think we're all drifting it a little bit now towards the end of the race, coming out of that chicane. Tires are definitely feeling a little bit of the strain.
Into the final corner, so David will be starting his last lap in this race. Another dominant performance. And he just upped the fastest lap, 1 minute 28.572. So fantastic. Pole looks like he's going to have the fastest lap and the win if he keeps going. Tiago in second, Anders third, Jonatan is in fourth. Miller, just exiting the hairpin, is in fifth. Sixth, Dave Miller. Seventh, Gerard Rion. Eighth, Bruno Chacon. Ninth, Mata Small. And 10th, Victor Alsaker. David Yunt continuing on into the chicane now. Probably the last real perilous moment for him in the race. He does it flawlessly. Just a few more corners to go now. And he's let the gap drop all the way down to 3 seconds, which must be frustrating for Tiago because he can reach out and see them there. He's just getting closer, but it's just David easing up towards the end here, knowing that there's only a few corners to go. As they come up to the final turn here, Dave Miller just in front of them, but I don't think they're going to catch him at this point. Coming out of the final corner. And there is the checkered flag for David Yunt. He wins the Oulton Park Island event for F3 cars. Second goes to Tiago Canola, who stays scoring points, but unfortunately will lose some ground in the championship to David, and his chances of making inroads are growing shorter with each race. Anders Nilsson now entering the last few corners, and it appears that he will finish in third. A great result considering what happened in the previous race. I'm sure he's going to be much he's going to be in a much better mood after this final corner. He makes the final corner. All he has to do is go up the hill. He crosses the line, takes third place. Very, very well done. Now we're waiting for Jonatan Acerclinth, who is heading towards I believe, the last few corners. Yeah, he's only got one more corner to go.
Exiting Druids.
Yep. There will be beer and girls waiting for him in the Hesketh motorhome, I am sure.
You hope so after this effort.
Yes, and it'll be a long night for the Hesketh team, because here comes Jonatan across the line, finishes fourth, top 5 finish for the Hesketh team, and the only Dassel in the series. Great result, Jonatan, and fantastic drive. Very consistent and smooth. Great job. Making the teddy bear proud. And here comes Dave Miller. Oh, goodness. Dave Miller finishes in 5th. Joe Miller finishes in 6th. What happened there?
It looked like Joe Miller may have miscalculated the number of laps, because it would seem like he stopped at the end of the lap.
So he had to stop for fuel or something?
He just, from the looks of it, he crossed the line and then stopped. So I don't know.
That's strange.
Either he miscalculated the fuel or he.
Wow. Well, in any event, he finishes in 6th. Gerard Rion 7th. Bruno Chacon 8th, Mato Small 9th, and Victor Alsaker 10th. And then Mick Chapman 11th, Jason White at 12th, and those were the remaining cars.
not enough fuel, Yo said, so he had to get fuel.
That's too bad. It's really too bad. All right, so those were our 2 rounds for this evening. We're going to close out the broadcast because we're desperately late. Any final thoughts, Jonathan, before we close out the broadcast?
Very unfortunate that I had the issue for the first race, but seems like the action is good and keep on going. And race 2 at Alton Park was really good fun. I really loved that track.
All right, so the next stop on the HSO schedule is the race at, I believe it's Mid-Ohio. Yes, the Escort Radar Warning 200. So thanks very much. Good job, Jonathan, in the second race. Thank you also for your commentary. And we thank all of you for watching and putting up with the issues early on. This is Jason White saying so long from the F3 series at Alton Park and Zandvoort. See you next time.